Learn about the Azure Kung Fu Toolkit in this episode of Azure Tips and Tricks. The Azure Kung Fu Toolkit contains tons of practical scripts and examples for the Azure CLI. This is the GitHub page of the Azure Kung Fu Toolkit. You can download the toolkit from here and run and use the scripts on your local machine. You can also contribute to it, as it is completely open source. To get started, open the Toolkit folder in Visual Studio Code. Also, make sure that you have the Visual Studio Code terminal set to Bash, like this. To run the script, you also need to install the Azure CLI Tools extension for Visual Studio Code, which I already have. Alright. Normally, when you are using the Azure CLI, you need to first run AZ login to log in with your Azure account. But because I'm using Visual Studio Code and I have my Azure account connected to it, I don't have to do that anymore. And when you have multiple subscriptions associated to your Azure account, you can use this script to set a subscription that all the scripts will use. There are lots of useful scripts in the toolkit. There are scripts for different ways of logging into Azure, and there are sample scripts for specific scenarios, like for deleting multiple resource groups. Or this one, for running a query and outputting the result to a file. And there are lots more. Let's try it. Let's create an Azure App Service Plan with this script and an Azure Web App with that service plan. Before we can run those scripts, we need to create a resource group. All the scripts come with parameters that you need to fill in with your own values. I've already done that here. And now I can simply select the scripts and run them with terminal run selected text. And there it goes. It's creating a resource group. Okay. Now for the app service plan. Here are the parameters, which are the resource group, a name and a region. Let's select these and run them. Okay, there it goes. This takes a minute, so I'll skip ahead. And that's it. Now we can create an Azure Web App. And that script is right here. Okay. Again, I have already filled in the parameters here. Now let's select these commands for creating the web app and terminal run selected text. Alright. And again, I'll skip ahead. And there we go. It created a web app. The Azure Kung Fu Toolkit contains lots of practical Azure CLI scripts and examples that you can easily use by replacing parameters and running the scripts. Go and check it out.